My mother's text was short, cold, and precise. You're not invited. 11 words. 11 words that carried more weight than any argument, any fight, any heartbreak I had ever endured. I stared at my phone, rereading them as if the meaning would change if I stared long enough. But it didn't. Each word cut through me sharper than a knife, and I felt that familiar tightening in my chest. The kind of tightening that comes from knowing you've been erased from a story you helped write. I thought back to every family gathering, every holiday, every dinner where I had tried to fit in, to earn her approval, to be the son she could brag about. And now, gone. Just like that. Uninvited. Like I was nothing more than an afterthought, a name she had crossed off a list without a second glance. But I didn't reply. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. Because I had learned long ago that rage is loud but strategy is silent. And I knew exactly what I had to do. I opened her contact list, a list I had seen so many times before, and I started scrolling through the names she had silently crossed off over the years. Friends who had once mattered. Cousins she had ignored. Neighbors she had excluded. Each name was a story, a small injustice, a memory she had tried to erase. And tonight that list became my map. By the time I finished, my phone felt heavier than it had ever been. Every contact I had added carried with it a ripple of anticipation, a quiet energy I could feel pulsing through the screen. I didn't need revenge yet. Not tonight. I just needed to set the stage, to let the weight of their absence settle in, until the moment arrived when truth would do the talking. The next morning I started sending the invitations. Each message was simple, polite, almost casual. You're invited. Tonight at the usual place. No explanation, no apology, no justification. Just the invitation. I watched as responses started trickling in. Yes, yes, definitely, looking forward to it. Some added small comments, a laugh, a memory, a reminder of a time my mother had ignored them, pushed them aside, or simply left them out. And with every acceptance, my resolve hardened. This wasn't about humiliation or anger. This was about exposing a pattern she had perfected over decades. Exclusion, control, judgment. She had always believed she could orchestrate who mattered, who sat at the table, whose voices were heard. Tonight I would rewrite that narrative. By mid-afternoon the room was filling up. People I hadn't seen in years were arriving. Old neighbors, distant cousins, friends she had crossed off her list with no explanation, no ceremony. They entered quietly at first, unsure, wary of tension. But as they greeted each other, smiles blossomed, laughter broke the silence, and the air shifted. It became electric, charged with anticipation and quiet rebellion. She called me just before the event started. Her voice, usually firm, faltered. What are you doing? I didn't answer. I let the pause stretch, let the quiet speak louder than any words could. Behind her, I could almost imagine the list she had relied on so heavily, now irrelevant, powerless. Because tonight, the table didn't belong to her. The invitations I had sent carried more weight than her authority. Every seat filled, every handshake, every hug was a subtle reminder. Control is an illusion. And I had quietly tipped the balance. By the time she arrived, the house was alive. The chatter, the laughter, the clinking of glasses, it was all a testament to the people she had tried to erase. She paused at the doorway, eyes widening as she took in the scene. Familiar faces she hadn't expected, stories she hadn't anticipated, smiles she couldn't control. I met her gaze calmly. No anger, no accusation, just the quiet power of presence. I invited everyone you cut from your list, I said softly. The words didn't shout, they simply existed, a mirror reflecting years of exclusion back at her. She opened her mouth, then closed it. A flicker of realization crossed her face. This wasn't chaos, this was consequence. The people she had undervalued, the voices she had silenced, were now together, celebrating, sharing, living in the space she had tried to dominate. And I was in the middle, observing, unshaken, just as I always had to be. Tonight, she learned a truth she had never taught me. Influence is temporary, control is fragile, and respect is earned, not dictated. As the night drew on, I watched her shrink into the background, powerless to rewrite the story. The laughter continued, louder, freer, and for the first time in years, I felt the quiet satisfaction of a truth revealed.